Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the AOR Hype Energy F3 League. This is the Hungarian Grand Prix, round number 12, and my name is Kieran McGidley, and I'm joined in the commentary booth by Austin Smith. Austin, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, not too bad at all. Looking forward to tonight, that is for sure. The Hungarian Grand Prix. They call it Monaco without the barriers, Austin, but it seems like a bit of a harsh name, especially in league racing.
I think it really doesn't. It is a track that offers very little opportunity to overtake. There are pretty much no long straights. There's a lot of corners that are not really made for overtaking, and so strategy will play a very big role here at the Hungarian Grand Prix.
And we've got Demon on top with Sergey in second in the drivers' table. 7 points separate them. 169 versus 162. Dan got the win last time out. He sits on 132, with Pitmat getting second place, now on 113. And I believe it was Igo Champ who last time out got the last place on the podium. He's on 79 points. It's fair to say, as we head into the second half of the season, it could be a two-horse race between Demon and Sergey, but I'm not counting out Dan just yet.
I wouldn't count out Pip Matt either. He's 56 points behind the leader, but with 10 races, can't even count anymore. With 10 races left this season, 56 points isn't that much. Pip Matt, in fact, could win under his own power. If he wins every race, he would be the champion.
Well, the thing about this season is there's really only been three winners. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've had, obviously, there's been five different winners
There's
over the
five,
season.
yes.
There's five of them. So Demon, Sergey, Dan, who's had two wins this season, matching Sergey, who is currently 30 points ahead of him. We've also had a win from Jammy James at Canada, and we also had a win from Alex Musica in Austria. So it's a pretty open
In
battle.
France.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a pretty. Oh, I read that wrong as well. Excellent. I'm having a great time, Austin. I really am. This can only go well.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. No, so what happened in France was originally Giggs was the winner, but he got disqualified. And so Alex Musica inherited the win. And then in Austria, Alex got himself disqualified for too many penalties on the track, too many corner cuts. So, yeah, he wasn't able to win that one in Austria.
But we're seeing here, then we're almost ready to go, are we? I hope we are. We'll have a quick check what's going on, because we've just lost a couple of drivers. Hopefully that's going to be corrected. Well, we'll carry on for a minute, Austin. This gives us plenty of time to talk about the Hungarian Grand Prix. First Grand Prix back in 1986, as Michael Schumacher currently holds the lap record of a 1:19.0. And unfortunately, Austin, I'm going to cut you off here because this means I have to accept the new invite. So it's just going to be me for now. And, given the nickname, Austin was pretty harsh about the track, Monaco without the barriers, but it has been called that. It's where Nelson Piquet won his first F1 race in the Williams, going around the outside of Senna's Lotus to take the lead. And, well, it's a balanced track, lots of straights, a DRS zone, a massive one down the start-finish straight, and also one just after turn number 1. Best overtaking opportunities on the track. Turn 1, harsh braking zone, probably the heaviest braking zone on the track. As then you head towards turn 2. Again, you can try and move up the inside of turn 2, but make sure you don't understeer like Max Verstappen did to his own teammate. You've also got the opportunity going through turn 6 and 7. It's very narrow there, so if you're going to make the move, you have to make it stick. You have to be well in front if you're going to make that move as well. And then coming down towards turn 12 was a good braking point there into the right-hander. A good opportunity to go up the inside, just like Kimi Räikkönen did, although he was a little bit sideways when he tried to make that move. Austin, it's a difficult track. We've got 35 laps around here, and like you were saying, strategy is going to be all important. You've been sort of researching the strategy. How do you think things are going to play out?
So, the way I see things unfolding, unless someone tries a very brave strategy starting in qualifying already, is that we will have one-stop strategies unfold all the way through the field, with the top runners going from soft to medium, and then I would say further down in the field from P11 down, everyone who is not tied to a certain tire compound to start the race but has free choice. I think a lot of drivers there will opt onto the mediums and try to run a long first stint so that they maybe can hold up someone because of some fortunate events on track and they gain a couple positions in lap one, because that's really your best choice, your best opportunity. Win some places, gain some places in the first lap when there's a bit of chaos, when you know the field is still pretty packed, because afterwards you're not going to be able to overtake that well, and then go into the pits onto the softs. However, as I said, there is the opportunity for a bit of a crazy strategy. It's not too crazy, but it's not exactly the fastest strategy here. If someone decides to qualify on the ultra soft tire, we are skipping one compound here. If someone decides to qualify on these tires, they have to do a two-stop. There is no way to make the ultra softs last long enough to then do a one-stop with the mediums. This would not work, so a two-stop ultra soft, too soft to soft again would be the strategy, but it is slower. It is significantly slower because of the time you lose in the pits compared to a soft to medium one-stop.
You've also got the issue that the tyres available, ultra soft, softs and mediums, it sort of cuts out that super soft tyre, and we've already had it before at the German Grand Prix, and it can catch a lot of drivers out. How many drivers are you expecting to see set a lap time on the ultra softs?
Set a lap time or set their best lap time?
All right then,
because
best lap time then.
Okay, not more than 2. My expectation is actually 0, but I think I can see 1 or 2 drivers going a little bit risky, trying to get a good grid position, and then hopefully, you know, they're probably thinking, hey, maybe a safety car, although it's not as likely here as it is in Monaco. That's the one thing about Hungary that isn't true, calling it Monaco without the barriers. There's not as many safety cars here as there are in Monaco. But other than that, yeah, I think 1 or 2 really. The soft compound tire is the better choice for the qualifying because it does allow you to go the one-stop.
We just had Nexus in the chat there, just saying there's a little bit of a connection issue with one of the drivers. That's why we're having just a little bit of a delay. But everything seems to be sorted out now because 10 of the drivers are ready. We've gone up to 11 now, but the session time is not counting down. So we're still here for a little bit, Austin. Let's talk more about the championship then. Obviously, we talk about the Drivers' Championship a lot, but actually we don't really focus on the Constructors. And here's the reason why, because Toro Rosso have a 114-point lead, 114 to the next team, Haas. You know, Toro Rosso have been pretty much dominating the standings right now. Do you see that to continue?
I definitely do. If you look at the results of the 2 drivers, Demon and Dan, it's hard to not see them dominate, especially if you look at the other teams. Yes, Haas does have Sergi, but who is behind Sergi? It's FTR Dres, who scored a total of 25 points, stemming mostly from a 2nd place at France. Other than that, 1 race he didn't even start. That was the last race of Germany. A 7th place in Britain, a 10th place in Monaco, a 12th place, no points in Canada, and he didn't finish in Austria. So there wasn't much contribution from FTR Dres to the team tally. Same if we then look at Mercedes, it was Pip Matt who contributed 113 of the 129 points, and then it was Nexus who got a total of 16, stemming from a 7th to 8th and to 10th places. So it really is about scoring big points with both drivers on a rather regular basis, and only Toro Rosso seems to be able to do that, which puts them at a huge advantage. Right now, already 114 points. I only see that increasing.
We've also have a look at the driver comparison, and at Toro Rosso, Demon in qualifying leads F1 Dan 7-3, but in the race, Demon leads 6-5. Whereas if you look at Haas, obviously Sergey and Dres have been teammates for less races, so it's a little bit less of a comparison. But Sergey still leads 4-0 in qualifying and leads 3-2 in the race. Is that the surefire signs that things aren't working out as they should at Haas?
I think so. It's like, if you look at the qualifying pace, Sergi out-qualified Dres every single time. In the race, anything can happen, as always. So I would take the qualifying as more of an indicator. And Sergi has been outperforming Dres by quite a bit. You always want to see both drivers being fairly competitive on a very high level. And Demon and Dan show that.
Well, last time out we did have Dan winning the race. Let's take you back to qualifying last time out at the German Grand Prix, where we had that ultra soft straight up to a super soft. There was only one driver who set their best lap time on the ultra soft tyres. Remember, it was Manolo, who I believe isn't here tonight. I can't see him on the board there. But he was the only one to set a lap time on the ultra soft tyres, and even then, he was only almost 4/10 faster. That's two tyre compounds different, and only 4/10 quicker. So is it really worth going out on the ultra soft tyres, as we see Solid Ninja Snake there taking that risk and heading straight onto the ultra soft tyres?
It really depends on a couple of factors. It depends on your overall race pace. It depends on your qualifying pace. It depends on your ability to save tires as well. If you are at least if you have at least average ability of tire management, you should go on the one stop. If you are eating through tires, you might want to think about that two stop, because otherwise your tires might die on the soft to medium strategy, and so the ultra soft gives you a better qualifying position. And you don't have to worry about those tires falling off at the end of the stint or at the end of the race.
Well, Roadhouse, as always, is the weatherman. He says, cloudy but dry for qualifying and sunny for the race. We're going to ride on board with Solid Ninja Snake then, as he goes on to his flying lap then, on the ultra soft tyres. The fastest possible tyres here. They may overheat during the race as we head down towards turn 1, then brake just after the 100-metre board, turn the car in. It's almost like a hairpin, this corner. Watch the exit though, because it's downhill from here. You could really spin up the tyres. Second DRS zone as we head down towards turn 2. Difficult corner to get right. You want to try and hug that curb on the inside there. Watch the traction on the exits. We fly through turn 3. Use that curb on the left hand side if you need to, as you now head up the hill out of sector 1 and into turn 4. Very easy to get your corner cut penalties on the inside of that curb on the inside of turn 4, heading up the hill now through turn 5 again. All about traction at this track as we head to the chicane of 6 and 7. You see there the McLaren not changing up, preferring to stay in that gear as we head through turn 8, through turn 9. This section will be demanding from the tyres. It's very tricky to keep those tyre temperatures in check as we head through turn 10, through turn 11, flying through there, using that curve on the left hand side. The game won't punish you for that as we head down towards turn 12, and a right-hander around the track as we head through now towards turn 13, the long corner of turn 13. You just got to be patient through here. The apex of the corner is later than you think as you now head round turn 14. Again, another corner you have to be patient on. Watch out for that pit wall on the right-hand side. It could catch a couple of drivers out as the McLaren then backs well off. Doesn't want to set his best lap time on the ultra soft tyres, but he sets a 118.4 as the first lap of the day.
Yes, and what we just saw here is called sandbagging, a very common strategy. There are two ways to do this on this track, as on many others. One is to obviously slow down just in front of the finish line or at any other point on the lap. The other way is to intentionally get yourself a corner cut, which invalidates your lap time, and therefore you don't set a proper lap time. Meaning, you can pretty much or you don't have to worry about setting a good lap time on those ultra softs if you don't want to use them in the race. With the lap time that Solid Ninja Snake set there, as well as IgoChamp, who also set a lap time 1:18.1 on these ultra softs, they're not going to qualify inside the top 10, that much is sure. And so even if that is their fastest lap time and they mess up their run on the softs or on a run on the mediums maybe, they will still have free tire choice in the race and be able to choose their strategy to their liking.
Lots of support for the McLarens in the chat tonight for Solid Ninja Snake and Roadhouse. Support from Muster, Nick and Francis all in the chat there. Make sure you fly the flags for your team or for your favourite driver. Let us know who you think is going to win the race today. Will it be one of the top two contenders? Could it be Demon? Could it be Sergey? They're both here tonight, so the rivalry continues. Will it be someone completely different like we saw last time out? And as you were saying, Austin, you have a pretty interesting stat about podiums and what happened last time out.
Yes, for the first time this season, at the last race at the German Grand Prix, we did not have either of the two championship leaders, Demon and Sergey, on the podium. Every single race before, 10 races in a row, there was at least one of them on the podium every time. Not in Germany. Sergey finished 4th, Demon in 5th. The top 3 did not contain either driver.
Here comes Apex towards the line, and I believe that was some sort of outlap, but ERS is completely offline to him. That's what it's showing, but the bar's still moving about, so maybe there's some sort of computer glitch in the sensor there, but we're going to run on board with Alex then as he makes his way through Sector 2. Sector 2 is going to be a difficult part of the track. There's a lot of high-speed corners. You put a lot of load into the tyres, so realistically we're going to be seeing at some point drivers start on the soft tyres and just trying to make that one-stop work, as Dan the Snake sets a flying lap time of 1:17.7 on those medium tyres. How likely is it to see someone get into the top 10 on a set of medium tyres? I imagine pretty rare.
Yes, the medium is a tire that you ideally wouldn't want to qualify on. As you can see right now, a lot of drivers are running a lot of laps. We see Alex now 3 laps on those mediums. Same with Crow Nexus. We got 2 laps by Sergey as well on those mediums already. So a lot of drivers just really testing out, as Sergey does, does put himself into first place on those mediums. But hey, that's all for now. The strategy now in qualifying for most drivers is just run out on track on the mediums as long as possible, and then come in with about something between, I would say, 3 to 6 minutes left. Come in, wait a little bit, and then go out on one set of softs, because that's all these drivers get. They get one set of softs, and so they will have one run at the pole, and whoever gets it is in a very lucky position, as again it is very hard to overtake here.
Alex setting a 1:17.280, 100th of a second quicker than Sergey on the same set of tyres. We've also got Speedster here in the Renault making his way down the hill towards turn 2 and through that DRS zone. Austin, the second DRS zone seems like a DRS zone to try and get away from your rival rather than set your move up going into turn 2. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. The second DRS zone is does not have a separate detection point. So if you made the move into turn 1 and you made it stick, you do get the help of getting away into turn 2. However, you can use it the other way around, so that you approach the driver in front of you into turn 1, and then you make the move into turn 2 if you're just a little bit further away than you'd like to be. So that is basically an emergency out, that second DRS zone, if you cannot make the move stick in turn 1.
The OG as well on a set of medium tyres, making his way around the final corner, taking that corner as pretty much as wide as possible to get the best exit out of the final corner. It's a long right-hander, turn 14, really rewards patience around it. Very easy though to spin the tyres up, and very easy, as I've discovered in my personal experience, to hit that wall on the right-hand side.
Indeed, it is very close to the track. And one other thing, when you drive that corner, at least for me, when I drive that corner, it never feels like a 180-degree corner. It is, but it doesn't feel like it. Feels like 100 and maybe 135, like, you know, 140 degree, but it doesn't feel like you're going in the completely opposite direction when you exit the corner than when you enter it. But it is, and every time I look on the track map, I'm thinking, really? But indeed, that's how this corner shapes up to be, and it is pretty deceptive. But the drivers know how to approach it. They've practiced this, and they know how to do it, and they know that they need to be patient there, and that patience will be rewarded.
And the OG there going a little bit sideways on the exit of turn 13, but just lighting up those rear tyres as he comes back to the pits then. Speedster 118.2 at the moment. He did set a 117 there, you just saw on the top right hand corner, but the lap was invalidated, so any progress there, 117 would have got him into the top 10. But no dice, he's going to have to go again for Speedster.
Yes, and if you look at the tires right now and who is on which tires, who has which tires fitted, you can see that drivers in the pits are starting to change onto the softs. That is exactly what I was talking about just a minute or two ago. This is the strategy right now. A lot of drivers, and they're still going to be waiting. I don't think anyone on the softs will go out onto the track very soon. Then hold on, is Sergey on the softs? Yeah, he is. Okay, never mind. Well, and not to Sergey, Demon, the two championship leaders, they do not take any chances. Sergey, Demon on the outlap right now with the softs, and Elite Game Boy is also exiting the pits on the softs, and Cronexus. So a lot of drivers going out early. Can we see, maybe we can see, or maybe we do see some track evolution to the negative towards the end of the session. Maybe we see the temperatures getting colder, a bit more clouds coming up. Maybe that's why they're coming out now and not waiting until the end of the session. That could be it. I mean, look at the skies. It was a lot sunnier when we started this session.
Yeah, absolutely. All to play for and all to take into account, as you saw their Demon get right out of the way of Sergey, who's on that flying lap on the soft tyres right now as he makes his way through turn 13, just locking up that front left slightly as he makes his way around now the final corner of turn 14. Patient on the throttle here, and there he goes, he's going for it now. As you can see, the bottom right hand corner, DRS wide open. What's the lap time going to be? It is a 1:16.6 from Sergey, and that is the benchmark now. So that is what Demon has to get close to. He's currently down in P10 with a 1:17.7, but I don't think that's a representative lap time then, as Demon now comes towards... I don't think he's not full throttle. I think he made some sort of mistake, or he's taking another lap to warm up those tyres. Either way, this lap's not going to be it for Demon.
Yeah, he locked up into turn 1, and so he immediately decided to turn the ERS down to 0 back again and take this as another outlap. And the 1:17.7 that is to his name right now was set on the medium tires. As right now, Sergey is the only one who set his lap time on the softs, but that will change over the course of the next 4.5 laps. As we just see Cronexus setting his lap time 1:17.1 on the softs. So he puts himself in second place, but 1:17.1 will not be enough to keep himself in second place. In fact, I don't think the 1:16.6 from Sergey is going to be enough to stay in first place.
We'll have to wait and see then. Here comes Dan the Snake coming towards turn 12. Full attack mode. And he's still got half that ERS to deploy. In both sense. Both in reserve and in, you know, actual deployment in the lap. So a little bit of work on the deployment sector there. But as he rounds the final corner. On the run towards the line now, using that curb on the left-hand side of the track as Dan the Snake makes his way towards the line and grabs provisional pole position. 1:16.4 from Dan the Snake. Good lap time from him. And if you're right in saying that, Austin, that they only get one set of soft tyres, then that could be the nail in the coffin for Sergey and his pole position hopes today.
Yes, however, Sergey is out on another lap right now as we speak. So he's taken this set of softs for another run. He backed off on the lap after his first flying lap to, you know, protect the tires a little bit, manage them, and now he's going for a second run. That is possible, although it is not recommended. But if you need that one position more or less, or maybe two or three, and you made some mistakes on your first run, you do have that second run, but it will compromise your strategy in the race.
Well, he's got Sergey's got Demon right ahead of him, so that dirty air is not going to help him. He's managed to keep behind him the whole time, so that's either a good or a bad sign. We'll see it in a minute as Demon rounds the final corner. Currently P12. What's the time going to be now? It's P2, 1:16.5, and Sergey there 1:16.625. So Demon up in second place, and I don't think Sergey was too happy, but Demon was well, he was in his right there to complete his flying lap.
Absolutely. I mean, both drivers were on a flying lap there, and in that case, that's how it goes. And if anything, Sergey's going to have to blame himself for being stuck behind Demon instead of leaving some space when he started his lap.
Alex Music coming across the line. He did improve there. Oh, sorry, he's just started a flying lap now. So Roadhouse jumps up to P9 on those set of soft tyres. As you can see right now, the best lap time is set on those tyres, as you can see. Not the current selected. So that's why you're seeing Alex Musica on yellow wall soft tyres. But on the telemetry, it's showing white wall mediums. That's just the tyre they set their best lap time on. Elite Game Boy, though, on soft tyres, 1:17.9. So that's not great to see for Elite Game Boy, though. Here comes Igo Champ then in the Force India on his flying lap on the soft tyres. He has set his best lap time on the Ultra Softs, but like we saw very early on, sandbagging, maybe slowing down right before the line. And Igo Champ there making his way up the hill through turn 5. We'll see what he can do then. Speedster as well coming towards the line. And is that... it was a faster lap time, but it was invalidated. So no position change for Speedster then. Here comes Mike. Mike Tinus. Mike Tinus? I'm going to call him Mike for now. Here he comes then, coming through turn 13 in the number 12 car. This makes his way up the hill towards the final corner. And he's got a little bit of deployment left, so here he comes then. This could be another flying lap. He's got 40 seconds, so he's timed it to perfection as he makes his way now on his second flying lap down the hill then. So Dan the Snake on provisional pole position. Alex Musica, by the way, jumps up to P3, and Igo Champ jumps all the way up to P2. So that's a great lap from Igo Champ. So 1:16.5. We still have Gigs on a flying lap, though. We also have Solid Ninja Snake. Elite Game Boy coming around turn 13, but as you can see, the clouds are looming. And like you were saying, Austin, the track temperature could be dropping as we head towards the last 10 seconds off the session. And Elite Game Boy might have just timed this to perfection. He crosses the line with 3 seconds to go. Time that to perfection there as the checkered flag comes out. Speedster then will be the first person across the line. After the checkered flag, here he comes towards the line. What can he do? It's P11, so just outside the top 10 for Speedster. Solid Ninja Snake also on a flying lap. We've also got Gigs as well, making his way through the chicane of 6 and 7. Who else have we got? We've got Mike here on a flying lap, but I think he's backed off completely here, is he? I think he's still going to go for it, though. Coming through turn 13, locking up a little bit. We'll have to see now as Alex Musica, pole position. Pole position from the Williams, so a great lap time, 1:16.3. Here comes his teammate Mike around the final corner and towards the start-finish line. It's a 1:21.6, so it's slower than his lap time, so he will be starting from P17. We've got Solid Ninja Snake making his way around turn 13, now coming around turn 14. Keeping tight to that curb, patient on the throttle as he makes his way onto the curb and onto the start finish straight. What can Solid Ninja Snake do? It's P14 for him, and the Red Bull of Elite Game Boy will be the last person to set a lap time. We'll have to wait and see what he can do around the final corner then. What can the Red Bull do? Can he make his way through into the top 10? Can he challenge for the lead as he makes his way towards the line? A little bit onto the grass there, and it's P16. It's not an improvement from Elite Game Boy. So that's qualifying complete then, with all the cars seeing the checkered flag. Alex Musica is on pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yes, fantastic lap from him, 116.3, beating out both Toro Rossos by Dan the Snake and Demon, as well as Igo Champ, who put himself right in between the two. That's going to make for an interesting start. A Williams on top, then the two Toro Rossos in 2 and 4, and in between a Force India from Igo Champ. It's going to be interesting to see whether the two Toro Rossos might even be tangling up in turn 1.
Well, we could. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Austin. Let's make our way down to turn 1 first. Meanwhile, then, Alex Musica on pole position. Dan the Snake in 2nd. Igo Champ in 3rd. Demon 4th. Sergey 5th. Apex in 6th. Pitmat 7th. Gigs in 8th. The OG in 9th. Jamie James in 10th. Crow Nexus 11th. Speedster 12th. Roadhouse in 13th. Solid Ninja Snake 14th. Alex 20 in 15th. Elite Game Boy 16th. And Mike P17. And I'll tell you what, the top 15 are covered by 1 second. Austin, we're in for a really good race if the gaps stay like that throughout.
I just fear that considering the overtaking opportunities, the non-existing overtaking opportunities on this track, we are not in for as good of a race as we could have on other tracks with these kind of gaps, with these very, very small gaps. But maybe, just maybe, these drivers are able to disprove us and still put on a very good show. But I still fear that we might have to focus mostly on the strategy, as the overtaking will be few and far between.
Well, the Hungarian Grand Prix then, we're prepping ourselves for 35 laps around the Hungaroring. First race back in 1986. It's held a lot of heritage here. Gained the nickname of Monaco without the barriers, Monaco without the walls. I'm pretty sure you picked that up from the stream once or twice before. But in terms of strategy then, like Austin was saying, expect a 1-stop from the guys on the soft tyres, but expect a 2-stop for anyone starting on the ultra soft tyres. Now, as the tyre situation goes, everyone in the top 10 started on the middle tier tyre, the soft tyre. So we're going to go through the 11th place then, as Crow Nexus will be starting on a set of medium tyres, Speedster on a set of softs, Roadhouse on a set of soft tyres, Solid Ninja Snake on mediums, as is Alex 20, Elite Game Boy also on a set of mediums, and Mike at the back there starting on a set of soft tyres. So interestingly then, everybody not even considering the ultra soft tyres, Austin.
Yes, because again, the ultra soft leads you to a 2-stop, and you lose so much time in the pits here, and you will not be able to overtake as easily. It would be a different story if we were at a track like Monza, where it is rather easy to overtake, or maybe even Spa, which are the two next races, Spa and Monza, in that order, not the other way around. So we might see some more wild strategies there, but here it is all about reducing the amount of pit stops, because it is so hard to overtake. So it is very easy, on the other hand, to keep an opponent behind you. So you want to do the 1-stop, you want to go as long as possible on that one set that you have, and then switch onto the other and not be stuck in the pit lane for too long.
Well, here comes Alex Musica then, coming around the final corner. He's no stranger to being on the front row, but it's just turning those positions into winning positions that he needs to work on. Alex Musica will be lining up, leading the pack down in towards turn 1, but will he emerge from turn 1, the race leader? We're moments away then from round 12 of the AOR Hype Energy F3 League, the Hungarian Grand Prix. We are moments away as we're waiting for Mike there to get to his grid slot of P17. We've actually got one other car, if we know. We're good to go then as we await the lights then. The tension is rising here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Who's going to get the best start away from the grids then? We're moments away now. Here come the 5 red lights. Round 12 is underway, and what are the starts like? And Alex Musica there, looks like he's got a decent start, but look at the charge from Dan the Snake. The Toro Rosso behind him as well as they head down towards turn 1. Dan the Snake could have the race lead here, and he does! What a start from Dan the Snake. Then Alex Musica drops down to second place. Demon, his teammate, Dan the Snake, up into third there as Igochamp in fourth there. We've got yellow flags behind it. It's carnage! Absolute carnage behind Elite Game Boy. Caught up there, Roadhouse, Mike there as well as Alex 20. So Apex has got a 5-second stop go for that severe collision with Elite Game Boy. Just off screen that was on the stream, but it's caused a lot of damage. We've had a retirement already. Are we going to see some sort of safety car as the cars head towards that chicane? Then Dan the Snake leads from Alex Musica. Igochamp is in third place, but I don't see... There he is there. Third place there for Igochamp. Demons then dropped to fourth with Sergey in fifth, Pitmat sixth, Griggs in seventh, Jammy James in eighth, OG ninth, Speedster in the points there, Solid Ninja Snake 11th, Cronexus 12th, Apex in 13th, Mike in 14th. Let's have a look and see if any of the cars make a move into turn 12. I don't think they do. Roadhouse then in 15th and Alex 20 in 16th, but expect Mike, Roadhouse and Alex 20 to visit the pits as Dan the Snake will round the final corner then and lead the first lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yes, it might not have been on the stream, but I had a pretty good vision on what happened there. Apex was the one who was spun around. He spun into the wall on the right side out of turn 1, and then he rolled back onto the track right into the path of Elite Game Boy, and it was also Roadhouse, Speedster, and Alex who were not able to escape. So very big incident, a lot of carnage there, and unfortunately our first retirement of the day.
Well, no safety car then, physical or virtual, as looks like the car was cleaned up straight away. So Dan the Snake entering the chicane of 6 and 7 in the lead. Alex Musica just dropping one position as he's in second place right now. Igochamp moving up to third, Demon in fourth with Sergey in fifth, and these two are going to have to try and make some sort of undercut work in order to try and make their way through the field. We've got Giggs here right on the tail of Pitmat as we head down towards turn 12, riding on board with him now, turning the car in and just minding that curb there. It's all well and good trying to take that curb, but it's one of those curbs that if you just take it at slightly the wrong angle, it will send you straight to a scene of the accident. OG as well behind Jammy James, just clipping that grass on the left hand side there. It's got to be careful with that. Give him less grip through turn 14, and that's when you really need it. DRS is enabled, but you won't be able to use it until your next time down the straight. Here comes the OG then. Does he have a look up the inside? No, he doesn't. Thinks about it again. And Solid Ninja Snake defending from Cronexus as they head towards turn 1 then. Lap 3, Dan the Snake is still in the lead of this one.
Yes, and you can see already some kind of groups forming. Dan the Snake is pulling a little bit away together with Alex Musica. And there's a gap of 6 to 7 tenths to Igochamp, who is under a bit of pressure from Demon. Not too much for now, but that can all change. Then there's another gap to Sergey, who's, I wouldn't say in no man's land, but it's starting to look like it. 7 tenths up ahead, 8 tenths below. And then Pitmat also having a gap. All the gaps are starting to form now, so we're not even getting groups. We're getting like every single one. The first group that we really have is Jammy James and the OG, who are right behind each other or in front of each other, however you want to see it. And the OG had a little look up the inside there, but decided against it, not sending it into turn 12 against Jammy James.
Dan the Snake making his way around the final corner. This is where DRS will be first used along the racetrack. Alex Musica in prime position with Igochamp straight behind him. 120.1 from Igochamp as he sets the fastest lap of the race then. Will Alex Musica have a look up the inside? He's just a little bit too far back, but watch out for those battles behind then. It's a high aero track in most places, so that DRS is going to be pretty powerful down the straight as we head down towards turn 2, as you were for the top 7 then, who are all in DRS range of each other. We've got to have a look at Jammy James and the OG though, because they are right behind each other. The Renault of the OG looking straight at the gearbox of Jammy James then. You can almost see the Mission Win Now sponsor if it was there on these cars, but it's right behind him, and putting him under all sorts of pressure. Alex Musica in the Williams as well is putting that pressure on Dan the Snake. He's not letting him go anywhere, but there's a little bit of a train here forming for the battle for the lead, and it's all involving the top 7 right now, so it's great to see at the moment as Dan the Snake just making his way through sector 2 now, coming through turn 11, down the hill then towards turn 12, and looks like Alex Musica just losing a little bit of ground on Dan the Snake. This is where the setups all come into play. Obviously, you've got cars that will have a slightly lower aero setup to try and make use of the long straight here, but most of everyone, well, I'm hoping most people, will be using a higher aero setup to get themselves through sector 2 as we make our way onto the straight then for lap number 5. Watch out for this top 5 here, 6 and 7. You can see Giggs setting the fastest lap of the race now. The fastest laps are going everywhere here, but no one willing to make that move then as Igo Champ runs a little bit too deep into turn 1 there. This could be an opportunity for Demon as he makes his way down towards turn 2. Does he have a look up the inside? Just a little bit too far back then, and we remain the same coming on to lap 5.
Yes, and you can see that it's a lot different now than it was just 2 laps ago. The cars are a lot closer, and that's thanks to the DRS. Otherwise, we would still be split up, I would say, not 3.5 seconds between the leader and P7, but more like 5 or 6 seconds between them.
Ooh, now, little close there.
We see some battling between, I think it was Demon and Sergey, the 2 championship leaders coming together there in turn 6 and 7, but it all stays the same for now. Demon in P4, Sergey in P5, which does help Demon quite a bit as he is the 7-point leader right now. It is a bit early to talk about that, but if it stays like that, he would gain 2 points, which would make it a 9-point lead. And with how close the gap is between the two, every single point matters here.
Absolutely, with us both of them being so close to each other. Well, Dan the Snake, though, on lap 6, still holding the lead. Then Alex Music has managed to gain a lead on Igo Champ, and Igo, with that mistake, causing a Constantina, allowing Demon and Sergey to catch up. Sergey almost caught out there by Pitmat, who also wanted to try the move. Sergey tried a move, but backed out of it because he realised it wasn't going anywhere, so cost him a little bit of time as well, cost him that chance of Pitmat overtaking him. But as you can see then, he's built up that gap once again to around about 7/10 of a second, and just trying to catch Demon here. He's got to be careful because any move he could try and make on Demon, he's going to be vulnerable to the Mercedes and the Ferrari behind him.
Indeed, and there is it's still a huge train. I mean, every car that is within a second of the guy ahead is, I would consider, is in that train. So right now, Pitmat is falling out of it a bit, as he is under pressure from Giggs. No chance there just yet, but he's under supreme pressure here. Giggs can make a move. Pitmat will not have DRS for the start-finish straight, so that is going to leave him very, very vulnerable. Let's look at Giggs and see whether he can make the move. Maybe already into turn 1. Matt goes defensive, and it will not kick off yet on the switchback. Giggs, however, and the DRS straight will probably just be a little bit too short. No chance here just yet, but it is not over yet. We still have 28 more laps to go. Plenty of time.
Oh, Alex Musica's off. Alex Musica in the wall just after turn number 3 there. And I think he rode that curb and just went straight to the scene of the accident. Second place man in this race has dropped all the way to P11. Oh, disaster for Alex Musica. I was saying he was struggling to get those pole positions and those front row starts to respectable positions at the top of the standings here. But he must have fallen foul to the curb. A little bit too much right foot there. And he has to limp his way back to the pits to get a change of front wing. You can see there on the right hand side that front wing has taken such a beating, and that is such a huge shame for the Swedish man as he makes his way limping back to the pits.
Yes, you can see the end plate is completely missing, fully gone off the car, and some of the winglets also missing on the right side. Left side seems fully intact, but hey, you can either change the whole front wing or none at all. There is no, we're going to change half of the front wing. So he's going to have to come in and change that. He does, oh, I was thinking for a second he was going to stay out, but no. He does come into the pits, and that brings up a very important question. What strategy is he going to go on to? Is he going to be able to do a one-stop with 27, 28 laps of medium running? I personally don't think so. He will go on to the mediums nonetheless, though. And he will take those as long as possible, and then probably another ultra soft stop. Ultra soft stint, rather, right at the end. I think that's how it's gonna carve up for him, but that's his chances of winning the race probably down the drain. Meanwhile, IgoChamp has caught up with Dan. He is back inside 1 second. The gap was over 1.5 seconds just a minute or two ago. And now he caught up 7.5 tenths now, and he's gaining and gaining and gaining. Very good pace here from IgoChamp from the Force India. He's moving his way back into the DRS window, which is not that easy on this track. It's not just hard to overtake here, it's also hard to gain time. But IgoChamp does it, and he is within that DRS range right now.
Well, IgoChamp making his way now down towards turn 2, and watching on board as well with a battle between Giggs and Pitmat. They have been nose to tail for the entirety of this race so far. We did see him a lap ago as Sergey here has made a move on Demon. So Sergey's now ahead of Demon there. Now I wonder, that seems a little too easy there.
Yeah, it wasn't so much a move from Sergey as Demon just ran wide out of turn 3, lost the car a little bit. Thankfully, no impact, no front wing damage or anything, but he definitely lost quite a bit of time and a position there. Just went onto the curb a bit too much and then lost the car there.
So Sergey gets that position up to P3. He goes then as Demon loses out as they make their way down towards turn 12 then. So Dan the Snake making his way around turn 13. And now coming up the hill. A little bit of pressure from IgoChamp, but he's extending that gap to past a second now. And they've just gone through the DRS detection point. Now, the gap is under a second. Watch that Force India. The rear wing opens. So he's off and running again. And is that Roadhouse in the wall there? Coming out of turn 4. So that is a disaster for the McLaren then. That's what's causing yellow flags in Sector 1. But here comes Dan the Snake then coming down the hill to start lap number 10. Leading the way, IgoChamp in 2nd, Sergey 3rd, Demon in 4th. Giggs is in 5th, followed closely by Pitmat in 6th, Jammy James in 7th, OG in 8th, Cronexus 9th, Solid Ninja State 10th, Mike's in 11th, Speedster 12th, Alex Musica 13th, Roadhouse 14th, Alex 20, 15th, and Apex is the last of the runners, currently running in 16th place.
I see it a little differently. I don't know if you have a bug, but for me, Apex is showing in 14th place, ahead of both Roadhouse and Alex. And if you look on track, yes, Apex is on the start-finish straight as Roadhouse and Alex are just coming through the final corner right now. So there seems to be a little bit of an issue there. But yes, Apex is in 14th, then Roadhouse 15, Alex 16. Such is the order right now, as the top 4 are still within 1 second of each other. Oh, and Sergey with a little dummy there, faked the pit entry. That would have been a bit early at the end of lap 10, but Demon didn't fall for it. That was too early. Demon does not fall for that. Lap 10, no way.
Two battling championship rivals there as we head now down towards turn 2. And they're pretty much on the same bit of track then. Here comes the OG, who's finally made his way past Jammy James on the exit of turn 1. And he's finally got that position as he heads through to turn 2. He's been waiting for that for such a long time. And he's finally got the position. He's now up to P7. Meanwhile, someone who is just as frustrated as the OG is Pitmat, who finds himself 2 tenths down on Giggs here. And this is the nature of this track. It's very difficult to try and make a manoeuvre. If you're going to make one, it's all the way down into turn 1. But for the rest of the lap, you can see the Ferrari there is just harvesting energy, making sure that any energy loss is going straight to that battery. He's not using any more than he needs to. It may be costing him 5 seconds to Demon, but it's keeping Pitmat behind him. That gives him an opportunity to use that ERS battery in hot lap mode down the long start finish straight. That's all he really needs it for.
Yes, but you wouldn't really want to use it in hot lap mode on the straight. You want to use it in overtake mode because that is a little bit more powerful, even though the overtake setting is called number 4 and the hot lap is called number 5. But nonetheless, the overtake is faster because the hot lap mode is normed for 1 lap in qualifying, as Pipmat now makes his move into turn 1 down the inside, and he should have it done. Gets the DRS here on the back straight as well. Into turn 2, and indeed he makes the move stick up in the 5th place, and now he can try to hunt down the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse here in Hungary. Dan the Snake, Igo Champ, Sergey, and Demon, who have walked away with 6 seconds now. That is the gap that Pipmat has to try and reel in. That is going to be a task and a half. But if anyone can do it, I think it is Pipmat.
Well, he'll, as you say, 6 seconds is a lot of time to make up, but well, let's see what he can do throughout the race then, as we're nearing lap 13 of this Grand Prix then. And Dan the Snake looks pretty comfortable right now. He's been leading since turn 1, and it's a matter now of who blinks first, who's going to pit in first. We are getting closer and closer to that pit window. Obviously, I reckon you could make the mediums last around about 20 laps. With a bit of careful driving, so expect to see the drivers in the next couple of laps as Dan the Snake makes his way down towards turn 1 for the 13th time in this race. And you see the 2 Toro Rossos in the same picture. This is what we were talking about. We don't really talk about the team championship that much, but Toro Rosso are just running away with it simply because of one of these, as Giggs is one of the first front runners into the pits then. So this looks like a scheduled stop from Giggs then. On go the medium tyres, away goes the Ferrari down the pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see what Giggs can do from that position. Now, he was just passed by Pipmat, so we'll have to keep an eye on that battle as it progresses through. We'll see if he can rejoin ahead of Pipmat or behind him. Let's see what happens there. But Pipmat, you can see, is just starting to fall behind very slightly and gradually starting to fall behind. And that could be because he doesn't have the DRS. He doesn't have that same advantage that the other cars do, as Dan the Snake makes his way through turn 10 and then through turn 11, as we're riding aboard with Sergey then. 3rd place man trying to chase down the Force India in 2nd place, heading down towards turn 12. And Demon here sticking to the back of Sergey, so that mistake has cost him a little bit of track position, but we still have that pit window to go through. Does anybody blink? Yes, yes, Dan the Snake is in. Dan the Snake is in from the lead of the race then. So Igo Champ will take the lead of the race then. Sergey moves up to 2nd. Demon in 3rd. Of course, Demon shouldn't pit on this lap. Otherwise, he'll be double stacking, and that will just cost him a world of time. So Dan the Snake then first to blink. Pitmat's also in, probably reacting to Giggs there, as also the OG has come into the pit lane. And I'm assuming they're all going to put on a set of medium tyres. Igo Champ, though, inherits the lead of the race with Sergey and Demon following close behind. That is your top 3 at the moment.
Yes, and if we want to talk about strategy, the one thing that I expect right now is that Pipmat comes out of the pits in front of Giggs. Let's see, though. Right next to each other, and they're going side by side through turn 1, and Giggs with the better traction gets the move done, and he is back, and that is not what you want to see if you are Matt right here in this situation. You've seen the back of this Ferrari for 12 laps now, and you just passed him, and now you have to see it again.
He's got to start all over again as Pipmat, and he will be hugely frustrated with that strategy. We'll wait and see if he can keep on to the back of Giggs then. Giggs will have a lap fresher tyres towards the end of the race, and that could be crucial to him in the closing stages of this race then. Igo Champ leads the way as Sergey comes into the pits. Demon doesn't react, he stays out. So Demon's staying out, trying to chase down Igo Champ, and maybe a little bit of clear air. He's 1.6 behind Igo Champ, so it's technically not clear air, but he'll be able to set some quick lap times, that's for sure, as Igo Champ making his way down towards turn 2. And that's going to promote Crow Nexus up to P3. And where is Dan the Snake on track? He's coming down the start-finish straight, and there is the heart of Sergey. So Dan the Snake in front of Sergey. That was crucial for him. The Toro Rosso drivers, pit crew there doing their job. And we've got Mike off the track there. That's coming out of turn 13. So he's had a little bit of a moment there as Giggs and Pitmat now battling for position down towards turn 2 now. The Mercedes has the inside line. Does he have the corner as well? Runs a little bit deep there, locking up the tyres, but he's got the move done. And once again, Pitmat, in the space of 4 laps, has passed that Ferrari twice.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's hoping right now that that is the last that he's seen of this Ferrari, and now he can run his pace, run his lap times, and run these tires to the end, and maybe, just maybe, catch up with Sergey, with Dan, who are now 6.5 seconds behind. So he did gain a little on the two of them, or at the very least on Sergey, who's dropping back quite significantly over Dan, and such is the nature of these tires as Igo Champ is making his way into the pits. Demon still not. He is taking those softs for a very long time, and that will benefit him in the end. But, yeah, the nature of these tires, these medium tires, is that they do take quite a long time to heat up. So a 1-lap overcut does actually work. A 2-lap overcut, I think, is very balanced. It doesn't gain you anything. You don't lose anything. 3 laps, that's when the undercut comes into play. So Dan the Snake should have an undercut on Demon, because Dan already came in 2 laps ago, and Demon will probably come in at the end of this lap, so that makes it 3. So Dan should have an advantage on Demon here. I expect Demon to come out of the pits probably at the very least behind Igo Champ, if not even behind Sergey. But it's going to be close, considering how close Igo and Sergey are on track. We're talking 6/10 right now, and the gap is decreasing ever so slightly.
Well, we're seeing a battle here between Cronexus and Apex, although I don't think Apex is driving that car at the moment. But Solid Ninja Snake here, trying to battle away with Dan the Snake as we watch the other Force India. As Sergey here has actually rejoined behind Igo Champ there, so that's not great for him as he makes his way around the final corner. That's not what he wanted. Demon into the pits then, so he's now coming towards the end of the pit lane now. The Toro Rosso garage is very near the pit lane exit, so where will Demon rejoin? He rejoins behind Sergey here, so that is a crucial move for Dan the Snake. He's now put a car between himself and Igo Champ there of Solid Ninja Snake, and Solid Ninja Snake obviously starting on those medium tyres, so he's going to go quite a distance, maybe even 4 or 5 more laps before we see him think about pitting. And that's an obstacle for Igo Champ, that's an obstacle for Sergey, and that's also an obstacle for Demon. So Demon there deciding to run less time on the medium tyres, maybe because he doesn't like them, but it has cost him 1.6 seconds to Sergey.
Yes, exactly. That is what I was talking about. The 3-lap the 3-lap overcut Demon to Dan, and at the same time a 2-lap overcut to Sergey. It did cost him some time because Sergey in that time span was able to warm up the tires, these medium tires, to a working temperature, to a working degree, and so he was able to pass Demon. And Demon now in virtual 4th place. But yeah, Solid Ninja Snake and Cronexus are going to make it a bit tough for this group here to make a move. Igo Champ, however, is doing exactly that. And not just him, no, Sergey sends up the inside as well, because Solid Ninja Snake was locking up into turn 1, and so he let 2 people through that he could have otherwise held up and maybe worked to his strategy, to what he is trying to run. That is unfortunate for the McLaren here. It really isn't the race of the McLaren's. Roadhouse involved in the incident with Elite Game Boy and with Apex out of turn 1, and Solid Ninja Snake now making that mistake, which might be crucial to his strategy, that he was trying to keep up those 2 drivers, Igo and Sergey, and now he's still got Demon behind him, but that's not what he wants. He wants all 3, not just 1.
Absolutely. Demon then coming down towards turn 12, and this will be a nightmare for him, because when Solid Ninja Snake obviously locked up there, Sergey just opportunistic as ever, decided to make the move as well, as we see Chrome Nexus come into the pit lane. He's done 17 laps on those medium tyres, so let that be a warning then. Here comes Sergey then, right on the back of Igo Champ. We've got two battles to watch. Here comes Demon coming down the inside. Sergey decides to stay tucked into the slipstream of the Force India. We've got Demon then coming down the inside in towards turn 4. And to be honest with you, I don't think Solid Ninja Snake made too much of a battle out of that one, as Demon moves up to 4th place.
Yes, at this point for Solid Ninja Snake, I think now that he let 2 cars through, why not the 3rd? Just worry about your race, your tires, instead of trying to hold up other cars, because he just let them through anyway. And so he's just worried about his tires, trying to keep him in a working range as much as possible. I'm a bit surprised, I have to say, as Mike Tynes retires. That came out of nowhere. But I'm a bit worried for Cronexus, as he went into the pits at the end of lap 17. Or was it, hold on, was it lap 18? I think it was lap 18, right? Yeah, it was lap 18, sorry. But that means he would have to go 17 laps under those softs. That is quite a long distance, even with an emptier fuel tank. That is a challenge and a half for Cronexus. So if I was the race engineer right now for Solid Ninja Snake, I would tell him to stay out just a little bit longer. Lap 21 is probably when I would bring him in and onto those softs. 20 might still be a bit early, but would also be already in the pit window. But 21 is probably when I would bring him in.
Well, we saw Mike Tynes there, stranded through turn 11, so not quite sure what happened there, but he was in the gravel, lots of dust in the air, but he is out of this race, becomes the 2nd retirement on lap number 19. Apex, well, a little bit of a glitch in the system, but it's actually Dan the Snake leading the way from Igo Champ, with Sergey in 3rd. We've got Demon in 4th, Solid Ninja Snake in 5th, Pitmat 6th, Griggs in 7th, we've got the OG in 8th, Jammy James in 9th, Chrome Nexus in 10th, Alex Musica in 11th, Speedster 12th, Roadhouse 13th, Alex 20 in 14th place.
Well, again, Apex is, at least for me right now, Apex is in front of Roadhouse and Alex, so Apex in 13, Roadhouse 14, Alex in 15. And it looks like Apex is about to carve up a move on Speedster. He's within 1 second of Speedster. Still not close enough to actually make the move, but he will have DRS most likely on the straight. And I'll try to keep you updated, since you seem to have some issues with Apex showing. But yeah, he will have DRS here, but not enough. It's 9/10 away, and he's not going to be able to make a move.
Well, Sergey here in 3rd place at the moment, trying to chase down Igo Champ, very close to that Force India right now, as we make our way through the chicane. And you can see there, Igo Champ doing well there to defend his position. Demon there is doing well to try and just keep onto the back of these two. He knows he doesn't have to push as hard, because as soon as these two start battling, he might be able to get a chance to close the gap. The only problem with that is that in terms of battling, it's not entirely the case. Normally you can actually run quicker as a group here. It is an odd feeling, that one, but it can happen if you're willing to work together, use the slipstream and wait a bit towards the end of the race. You can actually go a little bit quicker, as we've seen fastest laps in that sort of scenario.
Yes, and another thing that does speak for this kind of running, as Solid Ninja Snake does actually come in at the end of lap 21, so maybe he listened to me, I don't know. But it does help you run faster, and don't forget, if you're the leader, you might still want to do it, because it is so hard to overtake here, even with DRS, that you can do it at a rather low risk.
Well, Igo Champ here still doing well to hold on to that 2nd place. Demon's cutting that gap now. He's now 8/10 behind. Pitmat here, although he wanted to try and get away from Giggs, hasn't really done that as we head towards turn 6 and 7 with them. Obviously, we were talking about how frustrating it is to actually rejoin behind someone you just battled to get past, but actually Pitmat hasn't seemingly got away. Alex Musica, meanwhile, who was running in second place early on in this race, had a collision with the wall. We've got to watch out for him because his tyres, are 14 laps old. At best, they're going to do 6, maybe 7 more laps, so he's got to be careful with those tyres. He's just moved up to P10 though, and he's just overtaken Solid Ninja Snake, who is on the supposedly better soft tyres.
Yes, but even those soft tyres do need a little bit of time to warm up. Definitely not as much as the mediums do, but they do need a little bit. I would say maybe 2/3 of a lap. So now that he is through Sector 2, they should be in the working range. They should be on a good temperature, and so now Solid Ninja Snake can try to close that gap to Alex Musica again and then overtake him. However, don't forget, Alex Musica was running with the leaders at the start of the race, so he definitely has the pace, even on those old mediums, to hang with Solid Ninja Snake here.
Well, we're seeing that battle between Giggs and Pitmat really come to fruition all the way down towards turn 1 there. Giggs did have a good line, but couldn't quite make it stick there as Pitmat rides the curbs aggressively there. That might be a warning for him, and that, you never know, could be warning 2 out of 3. In terms of penalties in that bottom left-hand corner, we haven't seen that many, Austin.
Yes, the Hungarian Grand Prix isn't exactly the easiest track to pick up penalties on. It is possible for sure, especially if you look at turn 4. Running a little wide there can give you a penalty already. But other than that, there's not that many opportunities. Turn 3 maybe, but you don't want to run wide there anyways, because as we've seen before with Demon, who lost that position to Sergey about 10 laps ago, that curb can really catch you off guard, and at the worst, we see it with Alex Musica, it can put you into the wall.
Absolutely. The Force India here of Dan the Saigo champ, still trying to close in on Dan the Snake. It's not working though. They seem to be pretty well matched out there, but I'll tell you what, Sergey is not having any of it. He is making sure he's closing that gap as much as he possibly can, coming through turn 6 and then through turn 7. As Demon is very close behind him as well, as I believe that was Alex 20 just getting out of the way. That's what's caused those yellow flags there. So that was just him getting straight out of the way. As we head now down the hill towards turn 12, riding on board with Sergey, as he's just trying to close the gap on Sergey. Demon then, out of the top 4 right now, has the best tyres, condition-wise anyway. He's done the least amount of laps on them with 7 so far. Sergey on 9. Igo Champ 8, and Dan the Snake has the oldest set of tyres. As we head towards the line, we have 11 laps to go, so Dan the Snake by the end of this race will have done 22 laps on those medium tyres, so they won't be in the greatest shape here. Maybe Igo Champ's just trying to watch his tyres here, try and look after them, as Alex 20 gets a speeding penalty and actually retires from the session, from the pit lane and from the menu. So we have our 3rd retirement of the race then. Alex 20, we're down to 14 runners.
Yes, and you can see, especially if you look at how old these tires are for the top 4 runners, why they are bunching up again. Obviously Demon with the freshest tires, 8 laps now, 8.5, as we are midway through lap 25. And then we've got the 2 in the middle, Igo and Sergey with 9 and 10, and then Dan with the oldest tires. And you can see that there is a little bit of an advantage for the runners behind him, that they get just a little more grip, and therefore they can catch up ever so slightly. A 10th here, a 10th there, half a 10th there, and it just adds up at the end of a lap, and at the end of 5 laps, and at the end of 10 laps, it's even more. So I think we are in for quite a treat for these last 10 laps.
Absolutely. Someone asked in the chat if Dan has any penalties. I'm sure Austin will be able to let us know if he has any penalties.
I can tell you right now, Dan has 1 warning, but no penalty.
So that battle for the lead continues then, as it does on track. So no penalties at the moment for many of the drivers in this race. As Giggs here has a good run on pit mat as we head towards turn 2. As you can see, the Mercedes of Pit Matt has the inside line. Griggs is going to try the cutback out of turn 2 through turn 3. And again, it seems like he's got a good run, but just nowhere to put the car, as he still finds himself behind the Mercedes. This time, it's Giggs getting frustrated behind a driver.
Yeah, it is Mercedes versus Ferrari all over again. We've seen that in the real F1 all season, but now it transfers here. Although this time it is only for P5, but both of these drivers are going to be sick of the other cars' colors after this, and they're going to have nightmares about each other probably.
Top 4 separated by just over 1 second. It's incredibly close here as we head around the final corner. Dan the Snake still leading though, as Igochamp is in second, Sergey third, and Demon in fourth. In all honesty, any one of these drivers could win it. And all 3 drivers behind having the DRS. Dan the Snake locking up a little bit into turn 1 there. And Igochamp trying to use the traction, the extra bit of tyre life he has, to go down in towards turn 2. Nothing yet. It just seems like these drivers have the good run, but they're just not willing to make the overtake yet. Maybe they think it's too early.
I mean, it is. You have to play it strategically, and it seems like all 4 drivers kind of do. Dan, well, he's trying his best, I think, trying to keep these tires as fresh as possible and as little worn as possible, which is quite a task considering he has to overcome 2 laps on Igochamp and 3 on Demon, 1 on Sergey as well, but that is pretty tough to do. I think Sergey right now is the most in danger of his tires dropping off at the end of the race, because he is battling, he is trying to keep close to Igo, as close as possible. Dan seems like he's just running his pace and trying to manage the tires, whisper to them, whisper nicely and softly and gently, and trying to make them work just a little bit longer than they originally can.
A bit of a weird analogy there, Austin, but yeah, he certainly is the tyre whisperer right now.
I mean, don't you know the what's it called? The horse whisperer? Wasn't that the movie? Dan's trying to be the tyre whisperer.
Anyway, away from the terrible puns in, Dan the Snake leading with Igochamp in second, Sergey third, and Demon in fourth. Like I said, oh, Demon there picking up a 3-second time penalty. As we've got yellow flags there, and that's Speedster off, sorry. That is just coming through turn 12. You were saying, Austin?
Yes, I was saying Demon is not the first one to pick up a penalty, as Igochamp also has the 3-second time penalty. Sergey and Dan still without. Dan, I think, still with only 1 warning, although, yeah, he did not get a second one. Sergey, on the other hand, has 2, so Dan can afford another one without getting a penalty. Sergey needs to be careful.
Absolutely, and you can see that right now. He's just trying to keep it away from the curbs at most corners. Still, though, Dan the Snake making his way around the final corner. And when he crosses that line, we'll have 7 laps to go. And these 4, really, any one of them could win it. The gap between them all is 1.3 seconds. Incredible stuff as we head towards turn 1 for the 29th time. And again, with the DRS though, it seems like they can't get that close at the moment. But obviously, we still have those 7 laps to go. Anything can happen as Pitmat and Giggs here battling into turn 1. And it looks like there's just a little bit of contact there as they head out of turn 1. Now coming down towards turn 2. And Giggs has the inside line. Coming into turn 2, Pitmat has to go the long way round. It will give him the inside line for turn 3 if he can hold it. But he can't. And look who this is inviting now. The OG. This could be a 3-way battle for 5th place here. Because the Ferrari is just trying to hold on. Trying to keep Pitmat behind him, and it's allowing the Renault of the OG to catch up to the back of them. So a lot of racing still to do then, as that is the Renault of Speedster getting right out of the way there of the leading 4, as Dan the Snake makes his way towards turn 12, and once again still trying to hold off from the opposition then, as the four-cylinder runs a little bit too deep going into turn 13, maybe focusing on the apex of the corner instead. And Speedster's actually retired from the race, and I can't quite see where he was on track, but Speedster out of this race then, as Igochamp coming down the long straight then, and you can see there Not a lot of space out there for the cars there, as Apex now retires from the race, and you can see they're coming through turn 2. Dan the Snake holding on to the lead. 6 laps to go, Austin. This could be anybody's race out of this top 4.
Pretty much. And the one thing that I've seen as I was watching the whole pack from Demon's perspective for the last couple of laps is that IGO tends to go deep into corners quite a couple of times. That wasn't just that one incident that we saw on camera. There were a couple of incidents for IGO where he just ran a little bit too deep and lost some time to Dan. Sergey would be served well to try and overtake him as quickly as possible, and he is very, very close. We're talking just 2/10, but it is hard considering that Igo still gets the DRS from Dan, and so and the slipstream as well. So all Sergey has left is, well, a better exit maybe out of the final corner. But even that is tough because Igo seems to nail that one every single time. And so this might be Dan's for the taking here. Because Igo, for one, has a penalty, and for two, he's not letting Sergey pass. He's got the DRS. He's got slipstream from Dan. But he's messing up some of these corners. And again, you see him lock up. And that is the crucial, crucial moments that IGO might be holding up this whole group, as it does split up a little bit. We're back to well, pretty much 1.5 seconds now. It was at about 1.2, 1.3. Now it's 1.5, but they're still very, very close.
Absolutely. We've got to also watch out for Giggs here, who's under pressure from the Mercedes. A Ferrari and a Mercedes battling. It doesn't bring any deja vu for me with Jamie James and Crow Nexus. They're also a battle to watch as we head on to the last 4.5 laps. Then Dan the Snake coming through turn 12. And, well, he's on 17-lap-old medium tyres. He might be starting to feel the force of these tyres when they're completely worn. Because we saw, I think it was the Solid Ninja Snake there, taking those tyres 20 laps. At the moment, the Roadhouse, though, has done 29 laps on the medium tyres. Is that right? 29 laps. You can see the graining on the front left tyre there of the Roadhouse, making just trying to get to the end of the race. It'll be an amazing achievement if he can. My God, 29 laps. That's incredible.
Yeah, he had this incident in lap 1 with Elite Game Boy, with Alex 20, with Apex, where he was involved as well. And so he came into the pits very, very early, at the end of lap 1, in fact. And so he's been taking those tires a long distance ever since. That is absolutely incredible. He is still in lap 31, so yeah, that's why you see 29 laps. They're almost 30. But if I think he's probably hoping that he will be lapped, because otherwise he would have to take these tires another lap. And the leaders aren't that far away from him. He's just on the start-finish straight. Dan the Snake is now in turn 13, the penultimate corner. So it is not that far. And considering the condition of Roadhouse's tires, I think there's a good chance he might be lapped in the next 3 laps, because that's all we have left in this race.
Absolutely. Buckle yourselves in, because we've got 2 amazing battles coming up for you. The battle for first place and the battle for 5th place. 4 cars involved for the battle for the lead, 3 cars involved for the battle with 5th place here, as Giggs goes defensive. Pitmat having to go to the left-hand side of the track, trying to go round the outside now as we head through turn 1. As you can see, the Ferrari slams the door shut. No way through for Pitmat, but you can see the Renault there looking ominously on, ready to take advantage of any mistakes that the Ferrari or the Mercedes makes. And meanwhile, Dan the Snake only has a lead of around 0.4 of a second. As you were saying, IGO has that 3-second time penalty, as does Demon. So they're going to be dropping away at the end of this race. They'll finish 3rd and 4th at worst at the moment, because Giggs is 12 seconds back from Demon. So no threat there at the moment, but they've got to be careful, because if they pick up any more, they could really put themselves in the hands of Giggs then. Although he is battling, the gap is fluctuating, so you never know. As Down the Snake rounds the penultimate corner, coming up the hill now towards turn 14. And as he'll make his way across the line, we'll only have 2 laps to go for this Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yes, it is all kicking off right here. We got a battle for first with 4 cars involved and a battle for 5th with another 3.
Oh, sorry, Austin. That's it, Sergey's got the move on Demon. They were battling all the way down the straight then, but Sergey manages to hold on. But that's going to cost him a little bit of time then. The 2 championship rivals battling away, and Down the Snake here could have back-to-back wins, and that could rope him straight back into the championship. But he's got to do this lap and a half here to make that happen.
Yes, and Dan still hasn't picked up that second warning, so even if he extends a corner in the final 2 laps once, that would still not give him a penalty. However, Sergey, again, he already has 2 warnings. He cannot afford a single corner cut, a single track extension. He cannot do that. If he does, he's going to be in big trouble. He's going to get a 3-second time penalty, and he will not get second place, which he is on penalties right now. Even though he's 3rd on track, but he doesn't have a penalty. Igo Champ does. But if he gets a penalty, that will demote him to 3rd. And that will only give him 3 points over Demon. Whereas if he stays penalty free, he would get 6. 18 points for him and 12 for Demon. Which would turn the championship into a 1-point thing.
A 1-point gap. Well, Igo Champ has actually lost time to Down the Snake. Down the Snake's able to get away. Now, Igo Champ, I wonder if he's struggling with his tyres. Maybe the setup on his car isn't that great with tyre wear, because he's lost a lot of time to Down the Snake. 1.3 seconds is the gap now, and we have to watch out for that battle between the 2 championship rivals. Yes, Demon might have a 3-second time penalty. Down the Snake then making his way towards turn 6 and turn 7. This battle for the lead then is not over, as Igo Champ tries to close the gap as much as he possibly can. He's not going to have many more opportunities to try and make the move stick then. Down the Snake making his way through turn 11, now coming, through turn 10, now through turn 11, as Igo Champ 1.1 seconds behind. Sergey and Demon will sort of try and battle out for the last podium position, as Igo Champ might actually drop behind. See then Down the Snake making his way through turn 13. He has led for pretty much lap 1, and apart from the pit window, he might even make it back-to-back wins. Down the Snake is going to weave his way across the line and win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Sergey will finish in P2, Igo Champ P3, with Demon finishing in 4th place, and Pit Matt there has managed to defend as much as he possibly can from Griggs this time. He's going to come home in 5th place there, ahead of the Ferrari, and the OG there just couldn't quite make the move stick. He was following them all the way, but he will take P7 there. Jamie James coming around the final corner. He's going to take 8th place in this one, and Crow Nexus will take 9th, with Solid Ninja Snake coming around the final corner there. You can see picking up the final points of the day. Roadhouse then may really tiptoeing his way around. He's done 33 laps on those tyres so far. Once he crosses the line, he'll have taken them 34 laps, as Alex Musica is currently going quite slowly around. He's actually run out of fuel, Alex Musica, so it might be a while before we see him take the checkered flag. But Roadhouse here, having had that incident on the very first lap, to pit in, put on a set of medium tyres and take them all the way to the end of the race. That's an astonishing achievement for the Roadhouse then. He comes around the final corner. No points for him today. A very frustrating performance, but taking those tyres all the way, as Alex Musica is just coasting his way through turn 10 now. Turn 11, making his way all the way down the hill here towards turn 12. But it is Down the Snake taking back-to-back wins and putting himself, I believe, that is a 7-point advantage he has over Sergey, and even more over Demon. So don't count Down the Snake out of this championship, as I was doing. He's roped himself straight back in. Igo Champ, a good result for him in 3rd place there. Pit Matt and Giggs there holding on, as they finished in 5th and 6th. Great battling from those two throughout the race. It really was. The OG there just couldn't quite make that advantage stick then. But as Alex Musica heads towards the line, he will be the 12th and final finisher But your winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix, it's back-to-back wins for Dan the Snake.
Yes, and he moves now into second place in terms of wins this season. He's the only driver with 3. Demon has 5. Sergey only has 2. But Sergey still remains in front of Dan in the championship, but not by much anymore. From 30 points, the gap goes down now to just 23.
Never looked out of control of this race, did he? Dan the Snake takes a well-deserved win, and he takes the Hungarian Grand Prix trophy home. And we will have the official, unofficial results very, very shortly. But a great day for Dan the Snake. It's back-to-back wins, and it puts him very close in championship contendership. Dan the Snake then, you can see, taking the race win. Sergey in second, Champ third, Demon fourth, Pitmat fifth, Griggs is in sixth, the OG seventh, Jammy James in eighth, Cronexus ninth, Solid Ninja Steak rounding out the points with Roadhouse in 11th, Alex Musica in 12th, while non-finishers Apex Speedster, Alex 20, Mike Tynus and Elite Gameboy. Well then, we had quite a battle on that last lap, Austin. Monaco without the barriers, are you still going by that analogy?
I don't think we can keep that up after this race. That was very, very entertaining. We didn't see that many overtakes, but the ones that we saw were very, very well done, very well executed, and it was a very exciting race nonetheless. And I've got one more interesting little nugget for you as we finish up, wrap up this race. The top 5 here in Hungary are the same top 5 as they were at the German Grand Prix, only in a slightly different order. As Sergey has moved up from 4th to 2nd, Champ went down. No, he stayed in 3rd. By the way, that is his 5th 3rd place this season. He never finished better than 3rd this season so far. That is his 5th 3rd place. 5th podium, 5th 3rd place. Then we have Demon, who at least got from 5th up to 4th, and Pip Mad was the one who, well, pretty much fell from grace from 2nd, now down to 5th, but still a pretty good result. And again, the top 5 of last race, also the top 5 of this race.
And it sets itself perfectly for the Belgian Grand Prix, which you can watch this time next week at 8 p.m. Thank you for tuning in to the F3 stream, though. Just one final thing then, Austin, if you had to pick a driver of the day, just one, who are you going to pick?
I think, considering how easy he made it look, I would have to go with Dan the Snake. He just had that race under control for pretty much all of it. Yes, he was battling in the beginning with Alex Musica, but he got the lead very early, and then he made it look easy for the most part. Yes, there was a moment, there were a couple of laps in the mediums in the second stint where it got close, but in the end he brought that victory home, and I think he also deserves the driver of the day.
Well, that is Austin's driver of the day. And that then brings us to the end of the stream. So thank you very much for watching the F3 AOR Hype Energy League stream, and hope to see you again next week. Until then, though, I've been Kieran McGinley.
And I'm Austin Smith.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye.